Everyone thinks a mini PC with an i9 badge is a pocket-sized gaming beast, but here is the thing. The Beelink SEi13 Pro is really a tiny workstation that trades silence for raw CPU muscle. And that matters because cramming a 14-core, 20-thread Intel Core i9 to 13900 HK into this box unlocks shocking productivity speed, but it also pushes thermals and fan noise into territory most people never think about. I spent 10 days testing this exact unit across triple 4K displays, video exports, code compiles, and a few esports titles. The surprise, it crushes desktop-class tasks for its size, yet it is not the obvious pick for everyone, especially if you expect console-like gaming or whisper-quiet operation. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you are already leaning in and want the best price, I placed my affiliate link below. But stick around because some of my test results will save you money or steer you to a better fit. I needed a portable powerhouse for my rotating desk setup, home office on Monday, studio on Wednesday, client site on Friday. My N100 mini PC choked on 4K timelines and Docker stacks. A previous Ryzen 7 mini box did better, but long renders made it throttle and the fans screamed. I wanted single-core snap for code and web, heavy multicore for exports, and enough iGPU to run 3 4K screens without stutter. On Amazon, the SEi13 Pro sat at 3.9 stars, priced around $679 with 32 GB LPDDR5 to 6000 and a 1 TB PCIe 4.0 SSD. The marketing promised 4K at 144 Hz on multiple ports and up to triple displays plus 2.5 GB E and Wi-Fi 6. I was skeptical. i9 in a lunchbox. Bold claims usually meet physics. First test was daily productivity and triple display workflow. I hooked DP 1.4 to a 4K 144 Hz panel, USB-C DP alt mode to another 4K 144 Hz, and HDMI to a 4K 60 Hz TV. Result: two 4K 144 worked as advertised, while the HDMI output reliably held 4K 60. With 30 Chrome tabs, Slack, Spotify, Figma, and VS Code, the system stayed responsive. Idle temps hovered 40-55 C, fans were present but low. But then when I kicked off a local container build and simultaneous OneDrive sync, the fans ramped audibly and temps climbed, though UI remained snappy. Next up, content creation. I dropped a 5-minute 4K H.264 10-bit project with 2 Lumetri layers and some light motion graphics in Premiere Pro. Thanks to Intel QuickSync, timeline playback at 1.2 rays was smooth, 3.4 effects deep before it hiccuped. Export to 4K H.264 completed in 6 minutes 42 seconds. For context, my Ryzen 7 7840 HS Mini did the same in 8:10, and an M2 Mac Mini did it in about 5:30. But then I switched to a heavier HEVC 10-bit project with noise reduction. GPU-bound filters slowed it down, playback needed proxies, and the gap to Apple Silicon widened. So for H.264, H.265 edits that lean on QuickSync, the SEi13 Pro punches above its size. For GPU-heavy effects, not so much. Synthetic and sustained loads told the thermal story. Cinebench R23 landed around 19,200 multi and 1960 single after a couple runs, which is strong for a 65W configuration. Geekbench 6 showed roughly 2650 single, 14,100 multi. But then I ran a 20-minute Blender classroom render. CPU package sat in the 90-95C range, P-cores stabilized around 3.53.8 GHz, and the fan peaked near 47 dBA measured 50 cm from the unit. Switching to a balanced power preset dropped noise closer to 42 dBA with roughly a 10% performance hit. It never throttled catastrophically, but you will hear it under sustained load. Gaming. Intel Iris Z at 1.5 GHz is fine for light titles. Valorant at 1080p low averaged 120-140 FPS. Rocket League at 1080p high hovered around 100. Shadow of the Tomb Raider at 1080p low ran 35-45 FPS. Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p low was 25-35. This is not a AAA box. If you want integrated graphics that game better, AMD 780M minis will beat it. Storage and I.O. impressed. The included 1 TB PCIe 4.0 SSD clocked near 6900 MB reads and 6200 MB writes in Crystal Disk Mark. There's a second M.2 2280 PCIe 4.0 slot, and both can scale to 4 TB each according to Beelink. 2.5 GB moved large files around 280 MB on my NAS. Wi-Fi 6 hit about 900 Mbps near the router and tilde 400 Mbps 2 rooms away. Bluetooth 5.2 was stable for mice and AirPods. The new dual speakers are loud enough for meetings, and the 4-mic array picked up clearly in a small room, though this is not a conference bar replacement. Power draw was 911W at idle, 6580W on video exports, and 9110W under all-core stress. Here is where it gets interesting. After days of switching between monitors and workloads, the most surprising thing about the SEi13 Pro is not its raw speed, it is how desktop-like the responsiveness feels in a footprint you can VESA mount behind a monitor. Quick Sync closes the gap in real creative work more than benchmarks suggest, but the hard limit is the iGPU. If you expect to game beyond esports or rely on GPU-accelerated filters, AMD 7840HS 8845HS minis like the Minisforum SEi790 Pro or Beelink's own Ryzen boxes offer stronger graphics at similar prices. Also, the LPDDR5 is soldered, 32 GB is generous but not upgradable. On acoustics, let's be real, under heavy loads it is audible. That lines up with the mixed 3.9-star Amazon rating. Most complaints I saw center on fan noise under stress and occasional Wi-Fi driver quirks. Triple 4K works well, but getting 144 Hz on all three simultaneously is constrained by bandwidth. Expect 2 at 144 and 1 at 60 in most real setups. Versus a Mac Mini M2, Apple wins on silence and efficiency. The SEi13 Pro wins on Windows flexibility, ports, and CPU bursts. Versus Ryzen 7 9 minis, Intel wins on quick sync media and some single-core tasks. AMD wins on iGPU and often acoustics. Now that you know the trade-offs, desktop-class CPU bursts, great media encode, average graphics, audible fans, grabbing it at the right price is the real play. Prices swing, stock rotates, and bundles change. I put the best current deal I could find down below, so check that before it moves. Bottom line, the Beelink SEi13 Pro is a tiny productivity hammer for developers, editors who leverage quick sync, spreadsheet killers, remote workers juggling 3-4K screens, and anyone who wants near-desktop responsiveness without a tower. Skip it if you want AAA gaming, absolute silence, or plan to upgrade RAM later. At around $679 for 32 GB and 1 TB, it is compelling value if you use the strengths and accept the noise. For the right buyer, it is the fastest little office you can bolt behind a monitor. For the wrong buyer, it is just a loud overachiever in a small suit.